Okay, here's a question that was asked over email. This is from section 1.7, and they ask us to find an equivalent expression with the given denominator. Okay, so what they're actually asking you here, it's kind of a funny way of asking it, but basically they're asking you, if I have this fraction here, 8 over n, and I want to get a denominator of n squared, then what would I need to do to this fraction in order to get a denominator of n squared? You'd actually have to multiply the top and the bottom by n. So what they're saying is, what's the top, given that we move over to an n squared here? So you would say, in order for the bottom to become an n squared, given this, I would actually need to multiply this fraction by n over n. And that would give me, in the top, it would give me an 8n, and in the bottom, it would give me n squared. Okay, so they're actually just looking for this 8n right here. The reason they're asking these questions, that you have some homework problems on this and that I assigned them, is because you need to be able to figure out where do I want to go with a denominator and then figure out how do I get there. And that's because when we add and subtract fractions, you have to be able to get a common denominator. So that's the whole point of these problems. Okay, so 8n would be the answer on 1.7.5. Another question that was asked over email was this one right here, 1.7.53. They ask us to multiply, and they give us -2/7 times all of this stuff on the inside. Okay, so when you're going to multiply fractions, and you notice here you're going to have to use the distributive property. So we're actually going to take this -2/7 and multiply it by each of the pieces on the inside. And remember that when you multiply fractions, you actually just multiply straight across. So you multiply the numerators and then you multiply the denominators. And in this particular problem, if I write it out, -2/7 times x is going to give me a -2/7 x. And then -2/7 times -y is going to give me a +2/7 y, because the negative times the negative is positive. And then when I take this -2/7 times the 21, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to write it out so that I can do some canceling on my paper. Because even though this 21 is actually 21 over 1, we could just multiply straight across. We could say this is -2 times 21 and get -42 and then divide by 7. Or we could do some canceling and say, 7 goes into 7 once and into 21 3 times. And then we multiply what's left. We say I have -2 times 3 in the top, which is a -6, and a 1 in the bottom. Okay, so let me finish this and then I'm going to go back and talk about something else. So this would become -2 times the 3 that's left is -6 in the top, and then a 1 in the bottom. Now, notice what I did here is I put a plus sign out here, but what I was actually distributing was a negative. And the reason that I did that is I wanted to just bring my negative along with the 2/7 so that when I did this multiplication, I could actually keep that negative in here. It kind of becomes confusing. Well, it depends on how you think of it, but if you like to leave it out front, that's fine. I got plus a negative here. That's actually just a negative, so -2/7 x plus 2/7 y, and then this just becomes -6.